Sir, joining us now is Rick Harrison, star of Pawn Stars. Rick, as a successful businessman, great to have you this morning. You are a supporter of Senator Rubio, as we understand it. Your thoughts on what we're seeing on the campaign trail?
Yeah, I absolutely love Rubio. I mean, there's just so many things that he's doing that other people aren't doing. I mean, the whole education thing where we have kids coming out of college owing $300,000 in debt. He wants to change a lot of things about that. He wants to, we need vocational schools back in high school.
Have you met with him personally?
Yeah, I've met with him personally a few times.
And so specifically, you like his ideas on education. When did you start throwing your support behind him?
I had breakfast with him. It just happened that I was in L.A. and he was in L.A. a few months ago. We had breakfast, and he deeply impressed me compared to any other politician I've met with in my life.
And you are a big businessman. You employ a lot of people. Do you like his policies on the economy? And if so, what do you like about him?
I mean, everything. Listen, I do really well in life, and if I can take my money and pay it in taxes to the government, or I can invest it in things and make jobs, and he gets that. It's it's the business, it's all the regulations and everything else. I mean, I'm a history buff. Quite frankly, look through history. Every country where it's been easy to do business, people have worked their way out of poverty, and the standard of living has gone up.
All right, so I want to let my colleagues jump in here for just a second, but I just want to ask you real quickly, as we watch these wild swings in the stock market this week, what are your thoughts on that? Because that has a big deal, that has a big impact on the consumer, which you depend on to come and shop at your pawn store. What's your take on these volatile markets?
It's the insanity of regulation in Washington. You have tons of regulations that make it hard to do business. So you have the Federal Reserve lower interest rates to zero to compensate for what the federal government is doing, and it's just a convoluted mess. And this is what you get out of it.
Hey Rick, this is David.
It's crazy markets.
I'm doing great. Good to see you again, by the way. Tax policy. Rubio hasn't come out with a lot on his tax policy. You've got guys like Steve Forbes and others that have pushed a flat tax. Where do you stand on tax and Rubio and these candidates?
Rubio basically wants to make it a 25% tax on pass-through money. If you have an LLC, it's 25%. We need to lower, he wants to lower corporate tax rates. We have the highest corporate tax rates in the world. And like I said, I mean, it's either pay the money to the government, who, let's face it, they waste it, or you give it to a guy like me and I'll build another shopping center. I mean, it's that simple. If I can keep my money, I will spend it. I will invest it. I'm not just going to blow it on something.
So Rubio appeals to the Hispanic vote, which is something that the Republican Party is very keen to get this time around in the election. Donald Trump alienates the Hispanic vote. Comments about Mexico, Jorge Ramos incident. Do they cancel each other out, or does the Republican Party begin to think, well, Rubio is a much more viable alternative for us, he solves a problem for us, and begins to put him forward? Because so far he's not leading the pack.
Well, first, I mean, the press is giving Trump 10 times the press as anybody else, and I think, listen, I don't see voting for Trump is more or less voting for Hillary, because he has so many negatives against him. I don't think there's any way he could ever win in the general election. I mean, there's a lot of things Trump says that I agree with, but I really think he's going to wash out in the end. I mean, generally, the high flyer at the beginning, this early in the race does wash out.
Hey, Rick, we've got to go, but how's the pawn business?
Everything is absolutely great. I got a shopping center opening up here next week, and a million other things.
All right. All right. Rick Harrison, thanks for joining us. Rick.